Hello. So, what I wanted to talk about was sometimes when we read messages or emails from people, text messages, especially like you've got on Messenger or text messages off the phone, and when you are reading it, that it can actually be taken in the wrong context.
Correct. Massively. My honest advice would be, if you're dealing with something that's important, don't message. Do not do it.
No.
Put the time and the effort into having a sit-down, face-to-face conversation. And if you can't do that, have a video call. And if you can't do that, have a phone call. But do not message. The amount of information that can be misconstrued on messages is untrue. We hear that the statistics bandied around about the importance, the quality, and the kind of subliminal messages that come through from body language, facial expressions, thank you, facial expressions, and tone of voice and intonation and timbre of your voice. And I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like 93% of it comes through face, voice, body language, of the kind of the detail and the quality of the information. And it's only about 7% are coming through the actual words, the data. So if you think of it that way, your message is missing 93% of the important information. And here we are discussing stuff. And I had a relationship where the woman loved to text. And it's like she was doing, we do like 100 texts in a day. Like, Jesus Christ, texting all the time. And I noticed that my emotions were going up and down all the time because I was reading the text entirely subjectively. Because when you're reading the text with the internal voice of you. You're not hearing their voice, you're not seeing their face, you're not seeing their body language. And so you're literally looking at this data and you're projecting everything onto it. So if you're having a great day or a not so great day or a really shit day, that message is getting all that information from you. So it's great to banter by text message, it's great to banter by email, and it's okay, but if you've got something really important to discuss, job application, what you're doing tonight for tea, where you want to go on holiday, the kind of, I would describe them as those deep interpersonal things, have an adult conversation. Texts are great for emails. Emails and texts are great for data, dates, times, events, locations, and it's written down. Do not discuss things. I'm entirely worried that there are therapists and counsellors and coaches that are now offering texting services to their clients. What the hell? There's only two reasons that somebody would want to text. That means they've got anxiety about having a conversation, or they're too busy to sit down and have an adult conversation. In both those situations, you should be putting the goddamn phone down and interacting with a human being, not via message.
And I must admit, that's actually come across recently because I have been approached by people and they've asked me questions about whether I can support them, and I've said, let's have a call, let's have a Zoom call or a telephone call, but I can't do it through a message. I've literally said I can't do it through a message, and they have disappeared, the people, but there's nothing I can actually do through a message. It's just not going to work.
That's it. Those are my boundaries.
But I do think that there are, and what comes into my mind is there are situations where I have actually read emails and sent emails and replied to emails, and sometimes still do send emails because it sort of keeps you comfortable, if that makes sense, because you're not having to deal with that situation. And it's when the person's reading that email, how it comes across to them, what you're actually putting in. And also when you receive an email and you read it, it's how you respond to it. Now I know you've said to me, when I reply to emails, to at least don't send it back straight away. Read it 2 or 3 times to make sure. To make sure that you're actually it's what you want to put across. So, yeah.
And if you think about it that way, that yes, emails are really, really good for being very, very precise about what you need to say and weighting your words incredibly carefully.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
You know, we've all heard of letters being written to people that are absolutely weighted perfectly.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly time consuming.
Yeah.
And that's useful, but it's not a discussion.
No.
So a letter or an email is not a discussion. It's just a statement of very carefully facts.
Yeah.
But you can't tell people what they're doing.
No.
You can only say this is what's going on for you and this is what's important for you. So it becomes a very one-sided interaction.
Yeah. When the thoughts, when the mind is, when they're reading it, is it just that it's the way that is it their day, or could it be something to do with the programming? I'm thinking about situations what I've gone in where I've read things, and when I've read messages and they've been taken in the wrong context, because I'm not reading it in that person's voice, I'm reading it in possibly somebody else's voice. Does that make sense?
You could be a person could be reading that from a different time.
Yeah.
They could be hearing their own teacher's voice. They could be hearing a parent's voice. They could be hearing an ex-partner's voice. There could be a phrase within that text that is a hot phrase for someone that sets off all the neurology that says, whoa, that's a hot button.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd be doing. You'd be reading it in that past reference. Whereas if you were sitting in front of the person, they would say the same thing in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And that if you think about it, it's about acting the words.
Yeah.
If you take a script and you put the script in front of someone,
Yeah.
they will interpret that script in an entirely different way to you.
Yeah.
And that's how they portray the information in the script.
Because again, it's the perceptions, I suppose. Again, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're projecting emotions or conveying emotions. And you really need to be really careful when you're doing that.
Yeah.
So like I said, messages are absolutely great if you're just shooting ideas backward and forward, dates and times, suggestions, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're having a damn discussion, have a phone call.
Yeah, that's it.
I've had message conversations with people that are having a really bad time, and they'll send me a long message, and I go, I'm really sorry this is happening for you. Would you like a chat about it, a longer conversation about it? Maybe we can explore ideas. No reply. They send a huge text message again. Oh, this is really difficult for you. I completely understand. Would you like to have a conversation about it? And then they'll do this for an hour and a half, and I keep offering a conversation, and they just go, why are you not talking to me? Why are you not having a conversation? And then they'll have a conversation, and within minutes of talking to another human being who's paying attention to them, listening to them, not telling them, they've suddenly gone, I feel so much better now.
Yeah.
So it's like it took you an hour and a half to get to the point of saying, yes, let's talk.
Yeah.
We are human beings that are social creatures. We're not designed to communicate by text.
And again, I suppose that's a little bit of fear, because what emotion's going to come up and how they're going to deal with it. It's like, it's being conscious of your wording, your reactions. Like we had a discussion about, was it yeah but no but yeah, and when you're having these conversations with people and then you start going that yeah but and it can be a trigger.
Yes, it can.
It's a trigger, and that you've got to be aware of those triggers when you're actually having those conversations. But you've got to be aware that you may avoid those conversations.
So it's not saying don't use text, don't use messages. So let's just carte blanche that. It's not a case of don't use. It's about using the medium of communication that's appropriate
at that time.
Yeah.
But then to develop it further if it needs to be dealt with even further, rather than just saying that, right, I've sent that and that's it, done.
That's it.
Yeah, it's about expanding it if it needs to be dealt with even further.
Because sometimes writing what you want to say down is the most precise and articulate way of doing it.
Yeah.
I can think of situations where I've taken letters that have taken me 2 weeks to write.
Yeah.
Write a bit, leave it, write a bit, leave it, write a bit, leave it, edit, think about it, move sentences around the place, take words out, put words in.
Yeah.
And I've sent those letters and they've had big impacts because I put a lot of time and effort into doing it.
Yeah.
But it's time consuming.
Yeah.
So whether it's really important to you to do it or not.
It is, but sometimes that just makes people feel a little bit comfortable to be able to, because when you are in a situation where you're having a conversation with people, and if that person does talk down to you, and it can make you go tongue-tied so that you can't get your point across, and or they might not want to listen. Does that make sense? So it's a case of sometimes putting it in that email or that text just gives them that context, so then you can actually go further on.
Absolutely, yeah. If you need to use the medium to get your point across clearly and articulately, that's great.
Yeah.
Because you will meet people who will talk over you.
Yeah.
You will meet people who shut you down. You will meet people who will twist your words. You will meet people who say, you said this and you didn't. So sometimes it's really useful to put it down in a text and say, well, exactly where in the text did I say that?
Yeah.
And you can be very, very careful. And that's why it's very powerful to write it accurately in a letter. So letters are great. Long conversations are not good by text and email. Letters are great for saying a very carefully weighted, considered prose. Don't have a chat by text message and discuss an important event. Phone people.
And be conscious that when you are reading text messages and any kind, that you've got to think of it being the person's voice what's reading it rather than actually you reading it.
And be brave enough to be brave enough to monitor yourself and say, how am I feeling here? What's my emotional state? Am I balanced? Am I tired? Am I concentrating? Can I give this message my full attention to understand what's being conveyed here? And if you don't understand what by someone means, say, I don't understand. Can you elaborate on this bit? This is the bit I don't get. Okay.
Right,
And so many people don't do it.
No.
Just use the right medium.
Thank you, dear.